Because a lot of people have talked about Jason Robertson being traded, and we all assume that Nick Robertson's going to be traded by Toronto, and I think it's still very likely he could. But in a scenario where Dallas goes, hey, we really, really badly need a solid right shot, top 4 defenseman. Lyubushkin's not cutting it. Dumba needs to get out of here. Let's have this conversation right now. So once upon a time, Trey Living was actually trying to sign Dumba, I'm pretty sure. Or Trey Living liked Dumba. There was like those rumors going on. So maybe Toronto can do Dallas a favor and just take the Dumba contract, and then Toronto can decide to buy him out, essentially. But let's just play the game that somehow Toronto can convince Nick Robertson to stay because they're acquiring Jason Robertson. So let's say Jason Robertson's the target for Toronto, and say Dumba's going the other way as well. And then Toronto goes, hey, you could have Carlo. You could have Cowan. Maybe some late draft capital as well. Brandon Carlo's definitely worth a lot. Easton Cowan, high-profile prospect, and the Leafs are also soaking the Dumba contract. The Leafs basically have that amount of cap space. Maybe in this scenario, Toronto just includes Yarncrow in this deal. Because, hey, Yarncrow's not owed a lot of money. And it's not that big of a cap hit. And the Dallas Stars do need some depth. So this makes some sense. So basically, combined, the Dallas Stars are only taking on like $5.5 million. Where the Leafs are taking over $10 million. Closer to basically $12 million. So let's just do this trade as kind of structure. And people saying it would never happen. I'm not saying Jason Robertson's coming to Toronto. I'm saying the structure of this type of deal. I've talked about it. A lot of teams are calling on Brandon Carlo. So something like this for Dallas's perspective could actually make some sense because all of a sudden Dallas has $4.1 million of cap space. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be able to keep or bring back Granlund, but they could go back to the UFA market. And in this scenario, all of a sudden, they have better depth. That's for sure. So they could go like Rantanen, Hintz, and maybe Duchesne. They could do something like this. And Sam Steele, third line. I mean, Dallas definitely has the better depth, and they can upgrade. They could probably bring back Mikael Granlund or somebody else with the $4 million of cap space, and then all of a sudden, their defense core looks a lot better. Lindell, Heiskanen, Harley, Carlo, Bichelle, and Lyubushkin. It definitely looks a lot better. And as I said, they have $4.1 million of cap space to sign somebody else. So I know a lot of people have talked about maybe Carlo for like Cirelli or Carlo for somebody maybe in Colorado or Nashville. I've heard Nashville a bit too. But when you look at what Dallas could do here, it does benefit both teams in a way. And if you look at the guys that are available, Dallas could bring back Danoff. They could even bring in a guy like Roslovic. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like a guy like Roslovic. On like 3.5 and a 3-year deal. And then Roslovic's in there. Something like this. It's actually pretty good. And Dallas is cap compliant with a full 23-man roster. And in the scenario for the Leafs, they get Jason Robertson, a big scorer to go into their top 6, and they do whatever they want with Dumba. To me, I actually think that's a win-win for both teams. I understand Dallas probably needs to keep Robertson for the offense, but if you can get a guy like Roslovic, if they can't bring back Granlund, but with that cap space, if you can bring in a guy like a 20, 25-goal scorer like Roslovic, the scoring definitely gets spread around. And that third line still is still really good. Maverick Bourque with Duchesne and Sam Steele. Still a really good top 9. And the defense group, which was an issue, is no longer an issue. Lindell, Heiskanen, Carlo, and Harley. That's one of the better top 4s in the Central Division. So it's something to consider for Dallas. If they can get a legit top 4 right shot big defenseman to partner with Harley or Heiskanen, I think that's a scenario you consider trading Jason Robertson with. And in this scenario, you unite Jason Robertson and Nick Robertson in Toronto. Do I think it's realistic? Maybe not. But I think it's something Dallas should consider.